Hello and welcome to my channel, When a Day New, where I reveal secrets unknown to religious Christian thinkers about the Christ technology and infrastructure within our pineal gland and our own vessel, based on the word of the Lord, not literal religious understandings, and more so the spirit-filled revelations that the heart-brain connection gives us in working with the scriptures and understanding them. So it is a rainy day. It's refreshing, so I'm stuck in a corner of where it's drier. So how the Christ oil works and what it looks like putting it on everything in our lives. So it's within us, up here, it comes down, and we can use it, or we can misuse it, or we might not be using it altogether. So I have my notes, and we've all been both using and receiving the Christ oil since birth. If we were born with a pineal gland, it's up here in the back, middle, and still have it under our cranium, we have oil and are using it, whether we've known or perceived that we're using it or not. Praise God. And thank you, God, for this chrism Christ within our bodies. I receive it now. Please receive it now. I love it above all things, using all my strength to love it, all my being to love it, and all my spirit to love it. Thank you, Jesus and God. Some of us grew up raised, never knowing external safeties, nurturing or feeling of love provided, then also encouraged within us. The alterization narratives we devised based on scary and distorted refractions of this pineal love light, caused us in our F series of parasympathetic and autonomic nervous system responses, being F series, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. We devised an F series of behavioral responses to negatively, manipulatively, cruelly, and wickedly alterize our worldview. Willful alterization first happens around age 6 to a child, give or take a year or months. The child starts seeing distorted ideas about all the fearful perceptions in their world, and then alterizes or creates thoughts and narratives to explain, then counter all that they see. They need a response, and they need a rebuttal. And what am I going to do with this world that I've been given? So these faulty beliefs become their chosen destiny. They chose it out of ignorance and not knowing better. They're 6, give them a break. That will play out from there on for the rest of their lives. Then their external world alterizes through reactive abuses of all sorts and creates strongholds of those altars, as well as altars and strongholds of their own to punitate onto the child as abuse, punishments, or control tactics. So the child alterizes belief systems, and then it manifests in the world around them, and the people in the world around them create reactive abuse and create strongholds to punish and punitate that child's behavior, plans, and their very existence, through punishments, control tactics. The fearful alterized child, the child that has created these narratives and thoughts, distortions, awakes dormant, entrenched, alterized childhood fears out of the adults around them and the people around them. So those people punish the child for re-traumatization of these adults, out of control spirits, alterized strongholds and triangulations that they put back on the child, and thwart any positive use of the child's Christ oil with punitive control and punishment. So that's, of course, very scientific if we're thinking in terms of what does it mean. So the child has the pineal. Age 6, it activates and shows them the amazing possibilities of their entire life and shows them everything around them. And then they have these comparisons. It's like a side-by-side picture. They're like, well, this is what I see, and this is what I want it to be, and it could be what I'm being shown. So then their mind begins to distort everything, and the polarities of these two light refractions and reflections begins to scramble, and they create narratives, destructive narratives. And that process is like a coming of age of an adolescent who's seeking their independence from childhood, and they're stepping out in new unknown behavior or situations to gain independence and autonomy. And the family is like, no, you're gonna stay a child, you're gonna do what we say. So the fact that they have this Christ oil new worldview that, albeit is distorted, it has been put into motion. This new biological makeup happening to them is affecting and re-traumatizing the adults around them, sending the mentally the adults back to their childhood, where they first went through this Christ oil process at 6 years old, and their fears and their distortions are now put on alert. Their fight, flight, freeze, fawn system is like, whoa, this child is exposing my deepest, horrendous fears, and I'm going to punish that child, and I'm going to prevent that child from doing so. And even if that child wants to use or is able to use their Christ oil lovingly, they have dreams and hopes, and perhaps that caregiver is like, no, I'm going to stop this at all costs. I want nothing to do with this Christ oil, this love, this freedom in our lives. So when we get upset, as normal people do, one day, we usually come around after some amount of time, and because we are fluid, we're not static, the storm doesn't last forever. So our behavior changes. It waxes, wanes. Same with the child. Creating their distorted thought altars for meaning making their world. The day they do it eventually fades. The day the Christ oil comes and they distort everything and catastrophize everything and panic and scramble to make understandings and make irrational understandings or punitive understandings, that day eventually fades and they go back to normal childness and playfulness and lovingness and whatnot. So when they start the distortions, such as, this is my situation, therefore I'm not lovable, I don't deserve love, so I don't want XYZ ever in my life. And soon enough, this altar of thought, each one of those thoughts is an altar, and the same child goes back to the norms and plays, explores, wants to explore love and be loved, only now, because of the unworthiness altar that's being filed in their subconscious mental ego territory. A punitive, re-traumatized caregiver or parent has been laying in wait, and the moment they see the child being loving or needing that love and nurture, having dreams and wonderful ideas, the adult pounces with punities. We've all been there, and we've seen it on others. What are you doing, you brat of a child? You'll never be good at anything. They say in those words and many, many, many other ways and words. We've heard these things, and so on. That's the initial Christ oil alterization of the child and their surroundings. So they first create distortions within, they are alterized within, and then the alterization strongholds from without come back at them. So they become a magnetic, distorted version. They could be, when trained properly in the Christ oil process, to use that oil to attract goodness and then be given goodness in return. What parent would give a rock or a snake or a fish to their child? They would give love. So the process begins on the outside. They're punished. They're shown reflections of their new alterization belief of unworthiness inside. So unless the parent, caregivers, has any whiffed sense of psychological lingo, understanding, or radical toxic Christianity lingo at half best, they do not know this is the original mayhemic breakdown of the Christ oil process. They don't know. They just think it's the part of life, and child's acting out or needs control and needs something, and so they reactive abuse, retaliate against a child, and they don't know. It's all subconscious. Again, unless they know psychological language. Oh, this is the age the child starts this development process. Let's do something proper, or any religious understanding of this child's process that this is the Christ oil process, which they don't have that language in there, by the way, so it would come out in other ways to understand it, if at all, if they have it. So services for children don't either understand this. They do in a certain psychological procedural way, but they're happy to step in and confiscate bodies of children or adults that enter these distorted paths, rather than awaken the understanding of these peoples, awaken the charges. There's no charges to put. That you are charged with misusing your Christ oil. So here is the set solutions. There's no solutions put in place. There's just confiscation and punishment. So for instance, your Christ oil is being misused. We'll help you to see it in your life and to set its use back on track for your family. The services are not awakened themselves. They're first run by punitive, egoic, wounded people, and second, the curse of ego has every jot and tittle alterized stronghold that could be invented just to punish anyone who re-traumatizes or matches their list of grievances that their board members have come up with. So it's always played out addictively, then backed by collaborated, alterized policy strongholds. So the law is under the curse. It was put in place because alterized people of our ancestry lineages wanted to worship this golden idea, a calf, a strong bull of law. So the golden calf is a bull, and cow is a bull, and so forth, and bulls were the document's name of legal things back in those times. So it's all there. So first the worker's the worker's trauma, because they're human. Each worker has trauma, we all do. That individual worker decides the punitiveness, so the externalized punishment. So like the child with the parent, how the parent is going to reflect that. The worker also reflects it on the parents and the children going through these things with no awareness or solutions. And failing to appease these workers, the love and Christ oil that is possible, or that it's there, so they just see abuses or neglects, and they don't see, oh, it's Christ oil and it's become misused, so let's fix the Christ oil process. They just see behaviors and they say, we're punishing you, we're taking you all apart, and that's the end of that. Forever, they would do if they can. The worker then takes the curse policies to execute an ongoing record of judgment and punishments in order to keep both the caregiver and the child in their alterized darknesses. It's basically the difference between a patient needing a medical procedure going to a car mechanic to get their body opened up, worked on to fix the problem. They don't go together, those things. So workers punitizing the Christ oil process in families who fall off track they don't go together, at least the way they are currently set up on the world stage for families. What the Christ oil is designed to do is be our biological, supernatural wealth and health system within each of us. The Christ oil comes down once a month, but once planted in our vessel, it dies and it rises back up in rebirth, resurrection, within 3 days. So what comes down is enough to live on for the entire month. Each month is a new season of Christ oil chrism. And again, the pineal Christ oil, it's also called chrism in religious sections. It's mineralized differently each month based on outer weather, geographic and seasonal environments. So we're organic beings. We need vitamins, minerals. The Christ oil has the mineral of minerals, all of what it has. But that is fortified and strengthened with environment and so forth. That's where we get the religious definition of we have seasons. And the biblical talks about seasons of it's a time to grow, time to love, time to laugh. Everything has its season. So to describe it, each of the 30 days of the month, or 31, or 28, are a different color shade. So each day of that season's oil looks and acts different than yesterday's oil, daily oil. The same with cooking. We never can duplicate the same recipe if we try, even if we do the same ingredients. It always is a little different or better every time. So what the heavens and the world does it do? And how can I use this Christ oil to have my health and wealth? We ask. So it comes down every day in doses, every month for our entire life. Again, we either don't know we have this or we've been misusing it, not knowing we have. It's been misunderstood and feared and then subsequently misused. We've used it for our own effortings, our own selfish desires, but also we've used it for others. And some of us had made altars we don't deserve, that we don't deserve it. We don't deserve love and the benefits of health and wealth. We've chosen out of errors to use its strength to love others with, so that can be to love our children with, and be their God, or to love our spouse with and be their everything, or to fear our boss with and perform workplace acrobatics every shift. So there's supernatural things happening that we are using it for, but we don't realize how it's outplaying, how it's alterized. We've placed alterized conditions, alterized tariffs on the use of our Christ oil and others' use of their Christ oil. That looks like I'll take you kids to fast food places because I love you so much, but you're going to earn this loving act I'm doing when we get home. It's saying, I'll show you the health and wealth of the Christ oil, but you're going to owe me your life savings, your life, your freedom, to thank me for it. It's punitive, because they don't feel like they know they can do the conditional loving act. They have a perception of what's right, but they feel like they have to control that because they won't get any more opportunities to do that. So it becomes punitive. They don't realize it's an everyday currency. We've also alterized all of our relationships with alter triangulations. We've all done it. I'll do A, but you're going to do B to give me C back. So it's triangulated. There's a series of steps with this. We've also conditionalized alter strangulations. So you won't get A if you don't do B and C by bending over backwards and fast enough in this set of prescribed manners and so forth. Conditional. So we have got our cars. This is what we have in life, in the nutshell. We've got cars, houses, families, jobs, and belongings, by alterized triangulation and alterized strangulations. This is how we've gotten by. They say the skin of your teeth or the seat of your pants. We've gotten by barely in life with what little goodness we can extract from ourselves and others. We've gotten major health and wealth things, but through conditional, very destructive processes. And they're very tentative in that case. We fear we're going to lose anything anytime, or we need to keep it at all costs because we don't know if we'll ever get it again. So we've Jezebelized, Ahabized, and Pythonized everything and everyone in our lives just to get the love, the fruits from the Christ oil. And then when we get it, we realterize how it's distributed and consumed and then repaid. So we have a foggy mirror since our altar 6 beginnings, age 6 alterizations, with the substance. So altar 6 being the age we first get the oil and the age we first distort it and alter it to Cinderella shreds. It's burnt beauty oil, ashes to any beauty. So cinder being the burnt and Ella being the beauty. That's a contradictory name within itself. We did altar 6 beauty beast methods. The solution is we need to get our tool belts on and lace up the work boots and just deconstruct all our internal altars, weeding out the garden of all pythons, Jezebel distorted Ahabic ego strongholds. If we de-alterize our relationships and properties, everything that we have physically, we won't strangle the wealth and health out of it all. Since we can't squeeze lemon juice from an apple or an orange, it's redundant any longer to expect we can maintain our own monthly Christ oil supply, kind of like the narcissist gets supply. This is where from. Since we can't expect to maintain our monthly Christ oil supply without going directly to the pineal gland process, being aware of it, activating it for its full monthly benefits and its membership of its everyday use. So it's like a gym. Our gym is up there. It's in the cranium, and the Christ oil machinery is in that gym. And the membership has been asking us, coming up and down, for monthly payment, and send several notices every day, every month, waiting for our response for us to become a member. We have went up there since childhood to receive our wealth and health, but we haven't went up there since childhood. since our Altar 6 days, to receive our wealth and health benefits of our own personal gym. We've stopped short on Altar 6's doorstep, begging, borrowing, muscling everyone else for their gym benefits, their membership to their gyms, and for wealth to pay for the appearance of gym membership benefits. So we want to look like we've been to that gym, but we don't use ours, so we've been using others, and we just want to, if we can't use others, we want to look like we've been to somebody else's gym. There's a whole thing. So it's time to let the Christ oil work for every area of our body and put words to every area we use it for. Not altars. Understandings, not altars. So the more we use it, the more we use the Christ oil, the more we will get. The more mineralization, the more magnetism we will get out of it. It's taking the Christ oil ingredients, using it, and then creating wonderful recipes and health benefits from consuming the recipes from it. If our gym opens up today, we're open for business. Every health enthusiast for miles around will want to come work out and experience the true health benefits we will have available. So essentially we're just saying, we can be the light of the world for others, but we can't if we don't enlighten our own vessel. If we don't use our own Christ oil, we can't use our Christ oil for others. But once we use our Christ oil, others want to be around us. Others want what we have. But they have their own. They just need help with learning they have their own, and then learning how to use their own, and then learning how to share their own with their toys with others. So we're all babies. And we need to learn to crawl and walk and stand and then run and not fall and faint, but fight for the prize, the good fight. Across the finish line of these things are everything that the Christ oil provides. So that is our Christ oil, how it works, and how it looks like putting it on anything in our lives, or if we're doing that wrongly, what it looks like, why it's that way. And if you would like to work with me on understanding the details of your own Christ oil alterization processes, just hit the subscribe, message, email, and we're going to do that.